And welcome to Thete Gaming, another Dragonflight beta video where I'm going to be discussing concerns about its readiness. Now, I've sort of taken stock here where, in terms of where we are anticipating, I think it's fair to say, certainly a lot of people who would be in the know are suggesting that we're talking about the end of October for the pre-patch and the end of November for Dragonflight itself to launch. Now, it's not too much of a leap of faith to go along with that, because Blizzard, if they even wanted to extend it beyond that, wouldn't have very much scope for doing so, because they had to announce the maximum time for release when they made the pre-orders available. And yeah, it's not ready, and obviously there's a lot of concerns about it even being ready. We're talking about a pre-patch that'll be, what, 5 weeks? Within 5 weeks? And I've played in a lot of betas in World of Warcraft. I'm not sort of playing the game as much these days, although I have come back to it recently. But I have tested in all the betas apart from the Burning Crusade and Cataclysm. And for the past 4 or 5 expansions, I've also done alpha testing as well. And it was quite obvious as soon as the alpha launched here, and I was in it like a week or 2 after the first opening, it was quite clear it was very, very different. And you just think, okay, they're doing something a little bit different. That's okay, that's fine, that happens. But I'm now thinking about it a few weeks out and looking at the situation and thinking there's a lot of stuff that is tested in alpha and beta that's not tested here. For example, there has been absolutely zero testing of raids. Now, normally, I've done quite a few raid tests in alphas and betas, or mostly betas, by the time the raid test proper comes out. But the first few tend to be, what should we say, abortive. The first few raid tests, you don't really test the raids because the stability of the servers is shot. What they're really doing is testing that server stability as well. And usually what happens is you're all eager, you go in for your raid test and not a lot gets done. But then afterwards they sort that out and the raid testing proper does begin. None of that has happened. And I thought I might have missed it because I've not been playing the alpha and the beta as much as I would have previous expansions because I'm playing live. But no, I haven't missed anything. It's not actually being done. And part of the what's not ready is the classes, the new spec talents. And I've said before, I'm not a fan of these. I absolutely agree in the problem that Blizzard identified that needed solving. I agree that it is a problem. I'll talk more about it maybe in another video. And I agree that the new talent trees does solve the problem they identified. The problem is it has created more problems than it solves. That's an overuse of the word problem there, sorry. But it's caused more problems, and the thing is they're not ready, and they don't look like ready. I'm on the Retribution Paladin, this is my main spec, and there's problems with some of the talents, they're not working. And I don't mean problems is that they haven't done it as I exactly wanted, you know, it's actually sort of okay if it worked. But it's not. And Retribution Paladin is not like an outlier in this regard. If anything, ours are not as bad as some other classes and specs. Theirs are in a much less complete state. So you look at the situation, you think, okay, 4 or 5 weeks until this pre-patch goes live. This isn't actually working yet. Blizzard cannot release the pre-patch when they're just fundamentally not working. I can sort of foresee a situation where the pre-patch launches. You know, in the pre-patch, it's supposed to be the case that all raids are fated, do what you want. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a lot of raiding going on. because I just don't see anything really working. Am I supposed to kill these fools? And you know, in a way, that's sort of, you sort of get away with that to an extent if there's the odd bug. But this is insane. It's just not working. And until it works, how can they even properly tune it? So with the pre-patch, you don't expect everything to be tuned perfectly, because if anything, it'll be tuned for level 70, not level 60. But you don't want it to be too insane. I remember like Burning Crusade pre-patch. It was a little bit insane. There were some things that were badly broken, not usually in our favour. Usually with an expansion, if anything, you effectively become more powerful at the level cap, because it's tuned for the next level cap, and that may still happen, but it may actually be unusable for some. There may be some classes and specs it's just actually unusable. And then it gets me to worrying about something. We've seen in the gaming industry in general a bit of a theme of big budget games being released effectively in beta state. And it's because they're big budget, you know, so they have a lot of money to recoup. They try and recoup it as early as possible for their balance sheets. And that means releasing the game, which has several years of development really before it's ready, and then out come the promises about they're going to fix this, that and the other, and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But you know, Blizzard expansions, I think, have generally been, well, if you play other games, have generally been quite good. I would say the MMOs I play in general, the expansions launch pretty well. But what if something's going to be a bit different here? You know, what if it is going to be a bit of a mess? And part of me thinks, well, surely Blizzard cannot afford for Dragonflight to be a very poor expansion launch. There have been the odd poor expansion launch. Warlords of Draenor was a classic case with just servers collapsing. I couldn't actually play for several days because the only times the servers seemed to be working were when I was at work. But it's nothing's been tested. Raids haven't been tested. Server stability. Yesterday I was on Dragonflight playing a bit of the old beta, and I crashed out several times, and it actually got me thinking, oh, this is funny. This never happens to me on the alpha. So it's like they've only just started doing any sort of testing of server stability recently. I'm not sure that that's wise. And I missed it. And what has been tested? Then I thought about what has been tested. Some Dragonflight stuff, as in your dragon flying stuff. Yeah, we've tested a bit of that. And then I just thought, so going back to what is alpha and what is beta as well. So alpha is supposed to be a rudimentary form of the game. Things aren't working, things are broken. You're testing it as they're developing it. Then beta is supposed to be you're testing a working game. Okay, now it might well be that there are things that will still change, and yes, there will still be bugs in there. You may see some textures still not fully in place, but the game is functioning, the game is working. The game's not working, it's not functioning. The quests are, you can level up, you can do some quests. Haven't noticed major problems with the quests, but what we haven't seen is the classes working, and this is a big thing. They've done a massive reboot of the way classes and specs work without clearly having had the time to do it properly. Oh, so by the way, yeah, just as a little aside, if you're still hoping for major philosophical changes to the way your class or spec works, I very much doubt it, because at the moment, in the state it's in now, they have to have it working in 4 weeks maximum, surely. The classes and specs in the beta have to be working inside 4 weeks, and there are problems everywhere. And then you think, so then when they're going to do the raids testing, or are the raids just going to? Is it going to be like? Is the first raid basically going to be a blowout, a bit like Wrath of the Lich King with that ridiculous version of Naxxramas? Is it just going to be an absolute mess? You know, because whatever they don't test won't work. It's far too complex a system to just, you know, design it, implement it, and it just sort of works. That never happens. So there's a bit of a worry. As I come back to the game, I'm basically a jinx really. I come back to the game. You know, this is the second time I've sort of come back to the game effectively. And I remember the first time was I quit the game after that abortive Wrath of the Lich King Nax, because I just thought, oh, yeah, raiding's rubbish now. I didn't realise they were actually going to produce some good raids. Should I move away from that thing? Okay. And I came back just in time for Dragon Soul in Cataclysm, which was hardly their finest work. Then I'll leave. Nothing really wrong with the game. I just left at the start of Battle for Azeroth just because of work. It wasn't going to let me raid properly like Mythic Raid. So, you know, I wasn't feeling it for the casual experience. Then I come back because actually the casual experience in Shadowlands, certainly towards the end, is very good. I've had some people in the comments say, oh, actually a lot of these improvements were quite recent. It wasn't like this for the whole expansion. Okay, fine. But right now it's really good. So you come back thinking, oh, maybe Dragonflight. Yeah, might be good for casual play. Good stuff. Nice one. I've basically been playing World of Warcraft for basically decades now. Of some kind, or like Warcraft 2, 3, World of Warcraft for decades. You know, it's a big part of my gaming experience. So yes, it would be nice to be able to play it casually if I can't play it at a higher level. And then you think, the game may not work at any level. But we will see. I will keep updating it. Those are my thoughts anyway. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, then please subscribe for further content. And until next time, I'll see you later.